Greetings, travelers. I'm Chris. Welcome to Lorespire. Today, I'm here with Victoria, who is the marketing manager of Once Lost Games, and Victor, who is the creative producer of Once Lost Games. And we're going to have an interview, just have some questions and review of the Kickstarter, what kind of led up to it, how things were during the Kickstarter, and maybe hopefully get a little bit of insight into how things are progressing since the Kickstarter has ended. It's been a little over a month now. How are y'all doing?
Doing
Really?
fantastic.
Yeah.
Glad to be back on here.
Awesome.
Yes.
Glad to have you here. Glad to have you here. Glad it wasn't too soon. Um, but anyways, yeah. So once lost games, you had the Kickstarter for the Wayward Realms. You shattered your goal, which was 500,000. You got over 700,000, so like 140%. And you're still accepting late pledges, so it's up to like 716,000 now, which is awesome. There'll be a link in the description for anybody who wants to check that out and go and check out what you can get access to with late pledges. You can still get access to the early access build of the game that launches next year, or is scheduled to launch next year with that. But anyways, yeah. So the Kickstarter was a huge success, and I just wanted to ask y'all about how things were kind of leading up to it, because I know for years. Once Lost Games had said that they didn't want to use Kickstarter because it wasn't enough funding for the whole game, or at least I believe that was the reasoning. So can you explain why you decided to go ahead and turn towards Kickstarter for funding, and what made you change your mind about that?
Sure. Well, definitely for like since the beginning of the project, we didn't really want to go the Kickstarter route. One, because there wouldn't be enough funds to actually like do the full game. And of course, Ted and Julian, like they worked in the industry, in companies, and there was, they didn't have to do any kind of like crowdfunding or any kind of a financial raising of money for the games, right? It was just, business as usual for them. So there's that unfamiliarity that came with it as well. But as things progress and like we realize we really want to sort of do this early access thing, and have people's feedback to help us shape the game and make sure we're doing something great, and really also the slow progress of us doing it just as a part-time team. Uh, it it really just became like more and more clear, like what we could do is do the Kickstarter route and fund this early version and make sure we're getting all the foundations like really well defined, and make sure it's fun and get a chance to include the community in it as well, which has always been one of the goals that we've had. So really just as time went on, it just became like more clear that that was the best route to go as well.
Okay, yeah, y'all are great at accepting community feedback and everything from what I've seen, so that definitely makes sense. When exactly did you know that you'd be going the Kickstarter route? Do you remember like when that was? Maybe not like the exact day, but pretty close.
It was November 15th at 8 p.m. No.
It was
Um,
November, though. It was November.
yeah, it was right around that time. And part of it also was we had like some conversations with a few industry professionals who were also like, the thing now is, you want to get that early access, and Kickstarter is a great way to get that funded too. So we'd actually, I think the last person we spoke with was Shams Georgiani, who is the new CEO of Arrowhead Studios, the Helldivers guys. And he was also recommending that route. And so at that point, we were really just like, okay, let's do it. Right.
Yeah. We also spoke with Anya Combs, who used to work at Kickstarter in the video game category specifically, and she gave us a lot of good just insights into what to expect and how to approach it, and answered a lot of the questions we had around that time. So
Okay, so around November 2023, you are pretty sure. So it took y'all like 6 months, 7 months to prepare everything and get everything ready, because y'all hadn't done anything for Kickstarter up to that point, right?
yeah,
Right.
I think
Okay.
we had pretty much created a list of things that we knew we would need. Um, during like the remainder of November and December, and then January timeframe we really hit the ground running with prepping those things and getting them created and fleshing out that stuff for the, creating the page, talking about marketing, creating videos to help promote it, things like that.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I have a question, just something that I was curious about the novel that Ted's writing, Fool Me Once. Was that something that he always planned to do? Because I hadn't heard about that until recently, or was that more something he decided to do because of Kickstarter, or just
No,
curious?
it's something that he has wanted to do, and for a little bit there, we were discussing just the possibility of just doing a crowdfunding for that, on the side before we really got into let's do the crowdfunding for the game itself. So yeah, it's something he's been planning on for a while.
Okay, well, yeah, it's something. Fool Me Once. It's a prequel book for anybody who's interested. Prequel to the Wayward Realms that Ted Peterson's writing himself, and I believe that you can actually still get a copy with a late pledge right now. On the Wayward Realms Kickstarter page if anybody's interested in that. Definitely something I'm looking forward to reading. Um, so okay, so November, y'all decided you're gonna do Kickstarter. Y'all had started working on videos and preparing all that kind of stuff by like January, you said. How did everybody feel about it? Like, was everybody excited about it, or I'm sure y'all were excited about it. Maybe that's not the right word. What was everybody? Did everybody have like a positive feeling, like this is the way we should go? Did they all lean into it? Was there maybe some trepidation? Um, just what was the general feeling around the office?
Yeah, I mean, the trepidation was probably up until we decided to do it, but our team's really fantastic. Like once we said, this is the route we're taking, then everybody's like all on board. What's my part in it? How can I help? What do we need to do to get it done? Kind of
Yeah, I mean, I think
situation.
naturally there were some nerves, but like that's to be expected when you're trying to go for anything like this. But everyone was immediately like, "Okay, well, what do we need to do for that? Like,
Mhm.
how do we do that?" Let's do it.
Awesome. 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 And from what I've seen around the Discord, that's really what I expected. But I was curious to make sure. What how, were y'all pretty sure that the Kickstarter would be successful, or were you like really sure, or did you think probably not, but we got to do it anyways? Somewhere in the middle, like what were the feelings around that? I think I remember Ted saying once that he really didn't know either way. Was that just kind of generally how everybody felt, or?
Yeah, I think it's probably more like just on an individual basis. I guess for myself, I was pretty sure we'd hit the goal. I wasn't sure if we'd hit any of our stretch goals, but I was pretty confident in what we had going in.
Nice.
Yeah, I think Ted was definitely very hesitant. That's actually he was one reason he wanted to do his prequel novel crowdfunding first was kind of to test the waters because he really wasn't sure that we would make it the full goal for the early access of the game. I was sort of somewhere in between personally. I thought there was a lot of potential for raising funds, but at the same time, I also knew it was going to take a lot of pre-launch marketing because if you've ever done marketing, then you know most of the important marketing happens before an event ever starts, and Anya Combs actually said this, and I think she said it really well. It's kind of like you're inviting people to a party, and you want to make sure everybody shows up. And so that was my nervousness was like, okay, let's really make sure we rock this pre-launch marketing because those following numbers prior to the Kickstarter launching are going to be the most important thing.
And I do want to add that we were like incredibly lucky to have Victoria on the team because she was really like leading the charge as far as all that marketing stuff and getting everything planned out for it. So we were
Thank you.
insanely lucky to have her, and that's probably why I was more confident in succeeding.
Like she
I
knows what
was
she's doing. We're gonna be successful.
Yep.
I was very adamant and very kind of stressed, but more just like really determined to make sure that we met that goal. I was very like live, breathe, eat Kickstarter for a while there.
Okay, okay. Well, yeah, whenever the Kickstarter began in the first 24 hours, I think it got up to like close to 200,000 in pledges in just that
Yeah.
first 24 hours. Um, so that that's probably, or that's definitely because of all the preparation you did beforehand. Seems like you were definitely spot on there. I know that from being on the Discord and talking to people that all the fans, or at least 99.99%, were like 1,000,000% sure at that time that the Kickstarter would be successful. But the fans aren't always the most reasonable, or they don't always have the most level-headed perspective, especially in the moment. So how did y'all feel after that first day, whenever you got such a large number of pledges? Well, y'all were feeling like definite for sure, or just what what were the feelings like there?
I still wasn't super confident that we would reach the minimum goal until after the first week was done. After the first week, we had easily reached over half, and we were really close to our goal. And so I was very confident at that point that we would make at least the 500,000. And I started doing some math, and based off projections, I thought we could land somewhere between 700,000 and 800,000. And so at that point, I was feeling pretty good about it after the first week.
Okay,
Yeah, I
yeah.
would say
Oh,
I
go
I
ahead.
would say probably similar for me. I mean, it was a strong first day, so I was pretty happy about that. But it really like after the first few days is really when you can tell, like, okay, yeah, we'll make it.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, within about a week or so, the pledges had actually dropped quite a bit. They went from those first few days, hundreds of thousands, and even several, like 30, 40,000 a day, down to where it was like under 20,000 a day. At that time, was there any maybe like, oh, it's dropping too fast, or were you still pretty good because there was such a strong start and you just kind of expected that lull in the middle, or have what was that like?
Yeah, like we looked at so much information about Kickstarter, like as far as how that those trends tend to go. So we knew that it would start dropping off, and we're just kind of keeping an eye on how steady that drop off was. As long as it was still kind of staying a little bit up there, then we were pretty confident, which was the case. Like it never really like got bad.
Yeah, the drop is expected in pretty much any Kickstarter, but especially video game industry ones. And so from a marketing strategy, I just tried to have kind of these weekly high points of something. So like we ran a social media contest to try to get some more engagement on our social media, content so that more people would see the Kickstarter. That seemed to result very well. We did have a couple of YouTubers that reached out to us. We did a couple things with that kind of helped peak at certain points, things like that. That we just tried to at least keep those numbers kind of even, but we did expect a drop overall.
I will say one fun thing for me was just watching the community follow those numbers as well, because
Yeah,
every
yeah,
morning they'd be posting those updates.
yeah.
Yeah, every morning, and yes, some people would be posted on like every half an hour. Yeah,
That
it was
that kick track site, I think somebody posted it, like, every day with they don't call it projections, but whatever they call it on, kick track of what the expected number is to be at the end.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, at the beginning it was showing something like 4 million. Everybody's like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, it's gonna get 4 million." It's like, wait a minute, there's maybe some other considerations.
Maybe
Might not
not
get that high.
4,000,000. It'd be
Yeah,
amazing, but I'm not really counting on 4,000,000, you know?
yeah,
We're just a little under.
a little bit, a little bit. Um, well, speaking of all that, I know that there were some fans on Reddit and maybe some other places that did express that they felt like maybe OLG could have done a little more in the middle with the marketing, reaching out more, doing more. Um, what what do you say to that? Just for them, for those people that feel that way.
I mean, I would first off say that they're right. I think we definitely could have done more. I think if you've ever done marketing or really anything, I mean, this goes for art and all kinds of stuff, but you complete a project or you do a thing and you always look back on it and go, oh man, I could have done that better. I could have done this better. And I think that's very true in anything that you're going to market for an event. I would have liked to have done more, and I mentioned wanting to do more in the middle of the Kickstarter. We really were just limited on funds and we were limited on manpower. Um, there was a lot that Victor and I were doing. I mean, we were working tirelessly trying to just even answer, messages and comments and things like that on social media where people had questions or were just curious about the game and never heard of it before or things like that. I think in the first 2 or 3 days of Kickstarter, I answered over like 500 messages on the Kickstarter platform, and those are just like the private DM messages that come through, not even like public comments and stuff like that. And then Victor was on like Reddit and Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and YouTube trying to answer people on there, and we had the rest of our team on Discord trying to answer people on there. It's the
Yeah.
manpower just to keep up with the amount of messages and comments that were coming in was crazy. And then when those finally kind of started to settle down a little bit, then it was like, okay, now we can focus on, really trying to just get this out on social media more organically as much as possible, either by asking, friends that have followers to share it, asking simple friends and family members to share it, and we really wouldn't have even been able to do paid marketing without the generosity of some of our team members too. We have no money. That's why we did a Kickstarter. But to do paid marketing, you have to have money. So it really was due to the generosity of some team members that were willing to kind of risk their own personal money a little bit and go, hey, I'll give the company some money to help pay for these paid advertisements and run those. And so we're very limited on our budget and we're very limited on manpower during that time. And there's no doubt that with more resources, we definitely could have done more. And hopefully we'll have that ability to, for early access. And then we'll have an ability to even more so with full release. And we'll just continue to get better and improve more that way.
Yeah, and not to mention, it was also a learning experience at the same time because, like I said, like Ted and Julian, like they've never done a Kickstarter before, so we did as much research as we could and talked to as many people as we could about it. But at the end of the day, it's still like we're going into this for the first time, so we're going to be learning along the way.
Makes sense. I would like to just kind of point out or refer back to what Victoria said about team members putting up their own personal money to help out the Kickstarter campaign and the company and get the game going. And I just want to say about that, that's amazing. You have a mostly volunteer team, and some of them are offering up their own personal funds to support the game. Like that just speaks to how much like passion the team has, how much dedication, how much they believe in the game. And that, as much as anything, is why I am so sure that the game is going to be successful and be amazing. That as much as all the ideas that you have. Because if everybody feels like that about it, like it almost can't help but turn out well. My feelings on that anyways.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
incredibly generous of them, and I thank them a million times. It's so weird to go to somebody and be like, "Hey, if you have money that you're willing to spend and gamble with a little bit, do you mind helping us pay for marketing?" And we had several team members that stood up and did that, and that's really incredible of them. So,
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's really great for sure. For sure. So so yeah, maybe there's a little bit of lull in the middle that we were talking about, but even with that, you got off to such a strong start that by day 12, the Kickstarter campaign hit its initial goal of 500,000. So in 12 days, less than 2 weeks, we had a big celebration on Discord. Everybody was happy, ecstatic. Ted showed up and talked to everybody for a little while. It was a really good day. Felt really really good. Uh anyways, the Kickstarter, that's not what I want to say. Uh what I wanted to say is, what were things like behind the scenes, because we know everybody kind of showed up from OLG and celebrated in the Discord, but how did y'all feel behind the scenes talking to each other? What was that like?
Um, I'm not even sure I really remember that much. It was, yeah. I mean, definitely like when it hit, is like, all right, we did it. But I mean, I guess for me is like, I knew we'd get here. Right now, it's just a matter of let's see how much further we get. Right. So Definitely a lot of celebration. I think we celebrated probably more on the first day, honestly, when we hit that first day's goal, because it was a strong start, and we were
Yeah.
kind of pretty sure after that.
We had our own like private Discord get together as team members where we just kind of looked at it and were celebrating too. But um I think for me personally, I was still I was in stress mode at that point because I was still trying to keep up with incoming messages and comments and things. And then I was also trying to make the Kickstarter updates and the social media updates. And obviously I couldn't like schedule those ahead of time because it's all based off the current numbers, the current people. So in the moment, I'm creating this stuff and trying to get it pushed out, and it was very like we hit the number and I didn't really have time to celebrate. It was like, okay, great, we hit the number. Let me make that content.
Yeah.
Like, and I
Yeah.
was just immediately in my computer creating stuff, sending it out, posting a thank you. I had asked Ted previously to write up a letter because I knew we'd hit it soon. I'm sure you guys saw that. I think it was a 3 or 4 post thing that was a thank you letter from Ted himself. So I did have that kind of ready to go, but the rest of it I had to make up on the spot kind of deal and go in and grab the screenshots and plug it in and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and then we did also have like the devlog. So we're currently working on that, trying to get it out.
Yeah.
And we were planning a third video that we didn't get to get out, but that's still in the pipeline. Should be sometime next month, or mid-August, I guess, by whatever time this comes out. So so yeah, we were just really busy at the time, I guess, to
Yeah.
really take it in at that moment.
We were excited but very busy and just trying to keep up with the flow of everything primarily.
Kind of like, yes, all right, get to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So at that time, whenever you hit the 500K, and it was definitely fully funded, for at least for the initial goal. Um, I mean, you did all that, getting out all the social media posts and everything. But I mean, did you have people start working on preparations for everything that needed to be done at that time, or is that something that y'all waited until the Kickstarter actually ended, or did y'all start them whenever you hit the initial goal, kind of
Um,
preparing things?
I Well, I think we like the whole time we had been doing some preparation, but certainly a lot of it was going to depend on which goals we hit. As far as like how much we had to plan for, like in roadmaps and stuff like that. So uh, there wasn't too much like deep planning at that time. Just still what we were already working on from before.
Okay. All right. And so just mostly doing the social media stuff and responding to people on Discord. And I got to say, every single time I put out a video, or I watched somebody else's video, or I went to a comment on Twitter, or I looked down in the comment section of the Kickstarter, like every single time there was already a comment from Once Lost Games, which I assume was probably either you or Victoria. You know, um, y'all beat me to everyone every time on there. Um,
Good.
yeah, I
As
can definitely tell that y'all were busy by seeing that. Um,
it's very important to me that as a business we make sure the audience feels heard and seen, and so I'm very big about trying to interact or comment or do something with 90% of the people that are commenting on our stuff or messaging us or sharing videos about us or whatever it might be, just because I think as an entire industry, there could be a lot of improvement in that area, and I would like Once Lost Games to be that improvement.
yeah, for sure.
Yep.
And from what I've seen, y'all definitely do a great job of that. It shows.
Thank you.
Okay, so from that point on, there wasn't really a whole lot going on with the Kickstarter. Donations kind of slowed down and everything. For a while, it actually seemed, like we might, or y'all might struggle to hit like 600, 620, something like that. But then the last couple of days, there was kind of a pickup, a surge in pledges there those last couple of days that eventually propelled the Kickstarter to over 700,000, so quite a bit more than what it looked like it might get for a while. So what was that like? Was that like another surge of excitement like you had at the beginning, or that was again just something you expected from your research? And just kind of business as normal as far as the Kickstarter went with all that happening?
Um, say for what we tried to control, anyways, what I personally did was I put more money into our paid marketing right towards the end per day. So um, long story short, we had a limited marketing budget that I had to stretch out for I think like 3 or 4 months total to consider, the pre-launch launch time right at the end kind of thing. But generally, I knew that all of the people who had already shown interest in Wayward Realms in some way, shape, or form, I kind of wanted them to see it again right at the end. So all of the last remaining funds that we had and a larger percentage of the funds that we had, I put right at the end intentionally so that more people would see it at the end, and hopefully that helped that spike. I also think we just had we're very grateful to have a lot of YouTubers and people with large followings that kind of gave us shout outs and sort of helped told everyone like, hey, you did a fantastic job of that on your channel of being like, hey, there's only like 1 or 2 days left, you should go ahead and hop over there. And I think that organically helped a lot too.
Yeah, that live stream was fun.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the live stream was fun. I honestly didn't think I was gonna make it to the end about 8 hours in, but around midnight or 1 in the morning, it was kind of like, okay, yeah, I can go another 10 hours, no problem. Um, but so yeah, all right, so all that sounds great. After it actually ended, so the last 24 hours are done, over 700,000 in funds pledged and everything. What were those first few days afterwards like? Because that seems like it would have to be a lot of work. um you know uh did you allow the team time off? Did y'all just celebrate? Did you immediately get to work? Like, what were those first few days like afterwards?
I think Victoria can probably comment a little better on this than I can because right at that time I was in the middle of a move and then immediately got sick. So I kind of wasn't as online at that point as everyone else was. But like definitely like I don't think we really missed a beat. We just kind of kept going.
Yeah. Um, a lot of it was discussions about, okay, we've reached this goal, we kind of know what the baseline is, and now it's about establishing kind of the boring admin stuff, honestly, about like, hey, we've got to reach out to lawyers and we've got to reach out to accountants and we've got to get these team members, um, we have to know who exactly we can hire for how much per year, what are the exact things we're going to need from them, and being able to create an exact production roadmap plan for the amount that has been raised, right? Because we had a baseline idea of like what we could do, but now that we have the actual money from Kickstarter, which took a couple weeks to receive because they go through their processing and everything. But then once we figured out what that final amount actually was, it was like, okay, great. Now we know exactly how we could spend it. We know exactly where this could go.
Okay. So y'all do have an internal roadmap plan for things going forward post Kickstarter at this point.
Yes, we
Okay.
do.
What
Yeah, and I think are we're gonna be showing a version of that to the public, right?
Yes, we're gonna have a public roadmap release probably sometime next month. I can't give you an exact date just yet, but for sure it's coming. Yeah.
Okay, well, you read my mind on that. That was my next question.
Yeah.
I guess it's pretty obvious though. I know within a few days of the Kickstarter ending, you put out kind of like what to expect now
Yeah.
post, and
Yep.
a public roadmap was part of that. So yeah, I was kind
Yeah.
of curious. So sometime next
We
month we'll probably have that.
Yeah, we always knew we were gonna do a public roadmap. The thing was is like Kickstarter takes like 10 or 12 days or something to do their processing, like actually collect the money from the backers and anyone that might have card issues they reach out to and stuff like that. So we kind of had to wait a little bit for them to finalize their processing. and actually tell us like, here's how much you're receiving. Because of course, Kickstarter does take their cut as you're using their platform and they're doing the processing and stuff. So the final amount that we raised is not necessarily the final amount that we receive as a company. So we kind of had to wait and see what that would look like first, and that give us a more defined idea about what we can actually do with it. And then we have that roadmap written up, and then we're going to have a nice, pretty version for the public to see because right now it's all just on a Word document and it's kind of boring. So
Yeah, yeah, you gotta spice it up a bit, which I'll usually do
yeah.
a pretty good job of, especially especially that letter from Julian that you talked about earlier. Man, that was sharp looking. That was great.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Um, okay, so sorry, mind went blank there for a second. All right, so you've got all that squared away, and you enabled late pledges, which we didn't know if that was going to be a thing or not, but it is. And through the late pledges that are still ongoing on Kickstarter right now, you can just pledge like $5 or more if you want, just to support the game, or you can get access to the EA build that's scheduled to release next year, or you can even get a copy of a hard-covered copy or a physical
Physical.
copy of Fool Me Once, written by Ted Peterson. So so that you have continued funding coming in that way. I think recently you got over 8,000 backers with the late pledges. You're over like 716,000, which is great. Are there any plans for any additional funding sources? Because I do know quite a few people, myself included, some of my personal friends, some just people that I've talked to online or in comment sections that had emergencies come up, in the month of June, or they're from another country, so they couldn't pay for it because their cards didn't work, and Kickstarter doesn't accept PayPal. So for all those people out there, are there any plans at this time for any additional funding that you can share with us, or is that just wait and see?
Have any good like concrete answers for you today. We have looked at some other platforms that specifically take like European debit cards because I know that was a problem for a lot of people. And we haven't really found a platform that fits like our industry and what we're doing. A lot of the platforms we found seem more charity based, which are awesome, but obviously don't necessarily fit the niche that we're in. And so I don't really have a good idea of what platform would be good for that yet. So if anyone has suggestions, I'm willing to take those, first of all. And second of all, we do have kind of the question of if we did another crowdfunding platform specifically, what rewards would we offer? Because um, to hold the integral part of, the limited time thing, we don't necessarily want to give out the same rewards that we gave on Kickstarter. We want to honor the people that did pledge early on Kickstarter and give them, those are limited rewards for them. So we would want to come up with something more creative and a little bit different if we did crowdfunding a second time on a different platform. But we have also considered maybe a PayPal option, as we know a lot of people asked about PayPal, so possibly looking into that. And then we also know a lot of people were interested in merch, and I will just say that we are working on that one. So we have plans for that one.
All right, so you've got plans for merchandise sales. You're working on that, and you would like to offer some other type of, um, I guess, way to support the game or possibly back it. You just don't have a platform for it yet, so maybe
Yeah,
it'll
I
happen,
have
maybe it
not.
won't.
I haven't found a platform that seems to fit for the payment types people would need, and also fits kind of what Kickstarter does. So again, I am happy to take suggestions if anyone has any. Maybe they can leave it in the comments of your video or something.
Leave it in the
Drop it
comments.
in the comments.
Yeah,
There there'll be a link to the Once Lost Games Discord as well in
there
the
you go.
description of the video, so you can go on there and suggest it on the Discord,
Yep.
if you want. Okay, all right. All that sounds good. So, One other question that I had, I guess, kind of related to that, and I've gotten some conflicting answers, but I think the one I got from you, Victoria, on the Discord was probably the most definitive and the one that made the most sense to me. I just want to ask it one more time here for everybody to hear. There's been some talk of maybe the late pledges could count towards meeting the next stretch goal. Is that a possibility? And if it is, at what point would that cut off? Because you definitely couldn't offer it right up until the early access started. Or is that just not something that is really at all feasible?
You want to answer that one, Victor, or me?
Sure. Well, with the late pledges, those are all things, or sorry, not the late pledges. The stretch goals are all things that we absolutely plan to do right for the game, and having them on the Kickstarter stretch goals was just a way for us to get those in quicker. Obviously, the more funds we get, the more we can put into our team members and making sure we have the resources to make those things. So as long as things are going along smoothly and we're able to have the resources for it, we will be bringing those things in, bring them online as we're able to. But for sure, like the set baseline goal is 100% what we're aiming for at launch, and we're going to try and get as much of that in before that and then even after that, right? Because we're not just going to stop working on it once the EA goes live. So expect them to be coming. Don't know exactly which ones will be, because we've planned for the base goals. That's
Yeah.
what our current timeline is. But the more resources we have, the more time we can put into it, and hopefully get you guys some more of those neat things that we have planned.
Yeah. Kind of like to say, like, don't expect the stretch goals in early access at this point. But be happily surprised if they end up there because it is something that we ultimately want to do given the time and the essentially the manpower, right? Like the more money you have, the more people you can hire and the more skill sets and stuff you have for the team and time to be able to do those things. But um it, we also can't make a commitment that says like, oh, you've reached 850,000, but it's been like right before you plan to launch early access, so there's no time to do it at that point. So not right during early access anyways. Oh, I think I lost sound for you, Lorespire.
Can't hear you.
Oh,
Yeah,
kind of.
Better?
Yeah,
there
there
you
we
go.
go.
Yep.
I don't know
Uh,
what happened. We lost
I
you for
don't
a
know.
second there.
Yeah, my connection on the microphone must have come loose. Um, okay, what I was saying is that I actually like that. Expect what we are promised at 500,000, and then maybe we'll be happily surprised by some of those other things because you want them all in the final game anyways. So maybe once they're completed, we can find some of them in the early access eventually.
Yep.
Mhm.
Sounds great. So y'all sent out surveys for the first set of surveys for the Kickstarter rewards. Everybody filled those out. When can we expect additional surveys for the other reward tiers to come out, or have they maybe already come out and I just missed it because I'm not part of those tiers?
I'm actually planning on dropping the next set this Friday, which is August 2nd. So, depending on when this video goes out, they may already be released. So, that's the plan. I'm just kind of having the team do a final look over, make sure I didn't miss anything that they might need on the surveys to complete the rewards, and then we're going to be sending them out. So,
Cool, cool. Um, is there are there any other details post Kickstarter, like any of your plans that you can share with us, like what you've done, what you're planning to do that we don't know about, or should we just wait for that roadmap and we'll see it with that?
I think the first little drop that you guys will get is we wanted to be really transparent in how we're actually using the funds. So we do have a post planned for It's essentially just a pie chart diagram that kind of shows the breakdown of where those funds are going to, because we feel that, all the pledgers have a right to know that information. So you'll get that first. And then eventually the roadmap. And then, as Victor said earlier, we are also still working on a video that we had previously planned for during the Kickstarter, and we just really wanted to make sure the quality met our standards. And so we're still working on that, but you'll hopefully be getting that soon too.
Yeah, and I guess to elaborate on that video, that's going to be some of the bigger questions that came up during the Kickstarter that we really wanted to show, such as like the mass crowd system, and other things like that that people like had questions about, but we hadn't really shown them on a video, so we wanted to take the time and like
We've
give you guys something
explained
tangible.
Okay.
verbally, but this will be
Hmm.
the visual representation primarily.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. I was especially interested if it was gonna show off the mass crowd system or not, because I know that that had been specifically mentioned during the Kickstarter, and there were some things around that. So I'm glad to hear that we are getting a video covering that, and presumably some other things coming up here next month. Uh, that's great to know. One more question about what's to come, and if the answer is no comment or I can't tell you, that's fine, but I got to ask. I know some time ago, I believe in May, possibly before, y'all started reworking the magic system. Um, are y'all almost done with that, or has it already finished? When can we expect any information at all about the the rework? Because that, more than probably anything, at least systems wise, is what I'm interested in. And I think a lot of people agree with that. There's like this big mystery around it. Can you share anything
Mhm.
about it or not?
It's really still a work in progress. Well, our team's going to be going full time here soonish, so maybe within a few months you might be able to get a more solid information on that because we do have a lot of priority that we want to knock out as far as like design goes, and the magic is definitely one of those. So, a few months maybe.
Okay. All right. Few months. Few months. I can wait. I can wait. I'm a patient man. Um. All right. So that's pretty much everything that I had about the Kickstarter. Is there anything else that y'all would like to share about the Kickstarter, or that you just want people to know? Anything I didn't cover that you want to get out there? Feel free.
I don't know. I
um,
guess I would just say maybe be on the lookout for more information on merch semi soon.
yeah. I mean, the only thing I can really say is it was so much fun sharing that experience with the community. I mean, I was on Discord pretty much every day, at least checking in, and it was a lot of fun, especially seeing new people coming in too as well who learned about the Kickstarter and they supported it, and they came on the Discord and they're all excited. And that was a lot of fun, and my deepest thanks to everybody who shared that with us.
I'm actually really enjoying the recent weeks or so where I sent out the surveys about Discord roles, and then a bajillion people joined the Discord all at once, two different times, to the point that we got like raid alerts from Discord being like, "This is unusual activity," and it was like, "It's fine, pass," click. But it's all like new people jumping in there and going, "Hey, hey, just heard about the project," or "Just back this project," or whatever, and it's cute. It's really exciting to see.
And that also killed our invite links, right? Like whenever we
Yeah,
got the
of course, I sent out the first survey and not, you know, maybe an hour or two later or something, I start getting all these Kickstarter messages and a message from Victor from somebody through Discord and this and that. The link's not working. The link's not working. I was like, of course it's not working. Why would it work? Who needs a Discord link to work?
Yeah, I actually had people showing up in the comment section of my videos saying that none of the Discord links they could find were working, and so I was sending them
Yeah,
links there. Um,
yeah.
but
All
eh,
fixed now.
all right, awesome. That's great. That's great. That's good to know. Do you know, just off the top of your head, how many people are part of the Discord now? I'm curious now that you said that.
Last time I looked, which was not too terribly long ago, it was only a couple days ago. We were at like 11,000, I think.
Wow, a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's probably like almost double what we had
Yeah,
before.
I think after I sent out the first survey, I kind of looked at the numbers, and I want to say we were at like 8 or 9,000, and then I recently looked at it um later last week, and we were at like 11,000.
big jump, especially in just a couple weeks.
Yes, it definitely is.
All right, few maybe fun questions, a little more personal questions before we go, if y'all don't mind. Just wanted to ask, you want to share like maybe what games you are playing right now? Video
Oh
games.
man, I have a list. I have a habit of jumping between things that I play, so I like start a game, play it for a little bit, go to a different game, and then come back to it and go to a different game. But I'm like in the middle of playing like Baldur's Gate 3 with my husband, dad, and a family friend. I'm in the middle of playing Hogwarts Legacy. I'm in the middle of playing Divinity Original Sin 2 for um, the third or fourth time, something like that. I'm playing quite a few things at once. I'm playing a little bit of Valheim with my husband too. That's a fun one.
Yeah, for me, not that much going on between the move, the being sick, and then the Kickstarter and all the planning that's been going on ever since that on the admin side. I really haven't had too much time to play, though. I still play a little bit of Elder Scrolls Online, and that's probably the most that I've been playing of anything.
What you said, Victoria, jumping from game to game. That's
I
something that
do.
that's something that
Also
I
fun.
can't do. Like I can't play. I mean, obviously I can because I have done it before, but like just a couple months ago, whenever I started playing Daggerfall, around the same time I started playing Elden Ring, and I was trying to like stream both of them and play both of them, and I had to drop Elden Ring in the middle of it. I couldn't do it. Like my mind gets focused in on the game, and like that's the game I want to play. That's the one I'm excited for. And also, if I'm trying to play two games, like I'll be pressing the buttons from the other game to do certain things, so it screws me up. I don't know.
It used to be
I'm more
like that,
one
I really
track, I
did,
guess.
and I don't know what changed in my brain, but now I'm the person I'm like, "Oh, I wanna play this, and I wanna play this, and I wanna play that," and I just sort of like
Back
a
and forth and
Yeah.
little
back.
bit of everything. I
This
think
year
I've
for me,
also made a lot of commitments to play with other people, which doesn't help my case, so
yeah, this year for me, I've been pretty sporadic too. I don't think I've ever like sat down and concentrated on a single game this whole year.
yeah.
So
What about like TV series or book series, anything like that that you are watching or reading, or would maybe highly recommend to people?
I know I'm so late to the game, and comments are gonna hate this, but for the first time ever, I am in the middle of watching Game of Thrones, so, I'm on, like, season 5 of that right now.
for
Nice.
me, related, watching House of the Dragon. So,
You
and I
never
just
watched
finished. Yeah,
before.
just finished up the boys. Was that 2 weeks ago? So yeah,
Oh,
just keeping
nice,
up to
nice.
date on those.
Yeah,
Reading wise, oh sorry.
no, no,
Reading
go
wise,
ahead, go ahead.
I'm just reading some historical stuff about the Wars of the Rose and stuff, which feeds right back into
Yeah,
Wayward Realms.
yeah.
Yeah,
Studying.
reading-wise, I read a lot of, like, self-help kinda books primarily and a little bit of fantasy, but I'm in the middle of reading, Slow Productivity, and I also kinda started, part of the Star Wars Legend stories of Revan. I started reading that a little bit too.
Cool, cool. As far as Game of Thrones goes, just want to let you know you're not alone. I haven't just started watching Game of Thrones now, but I didn't watch it for the first time until like the middle of last year. Um, and it was amazing. I've actually watched it all the way through twice. Like I watched it all the way through then, and then I had to watch it all the way through again like a couple months later. It's pretty amazing. And House of the Dragon, me and my wife are into like every Sunday. We're freaking refreshing Max. Like, damn it, it's not on here yet. Where's it at? Um,
Yeah, my husband has seen Game of Thrones already, and so, like, the first season when I didn't know any of the houses or any of the characters and stuff, I was constantly just like, "Who is this again? What are they in charge of? What's their symbol like, their house symbol?" Stuff like he's answering all the questions for me, and now that, like, I've gotten to know the characters and I have a better idea of all the different things that are going on in that show, I'm really enjoying it, and he's just constantly like, "Wait till you see what happens next," and I'm like, "I'm trying."
give me some
I
time.
will
Give me
say,
some
like
time.
Sorry. When you inevitably get to House of the Dragon, that first season, those first few episodes, is like a lot of information to take in of all these different characters.
Oh, Game of Thrones, the first couple things, like, I'm horrible with names, like, especially fantasy names that are a lot more challenging than, Susan today. It's just like, I cannot remember it, so when they mention somebody, I'm like, "Who is that again?"
Well, this is made worse because there's all these time skips, like right at the front,
Yeah.
the beginning of the series.
I'm
So some
gonna
character will be a completely different person, who's now grown up, and
struggle
you're
so
like, wait,
much.
which one is that?
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
could
it
just
is
go ahead
kinda
and draw me up
confusing.
like a family tree, Victor, and that way I'll be ready when I get ready to watch it.
I don't think he has enough time.
Uh, I got you covered. We'll
Hey,
get through this.
there we go. Nice.
Here, read this book, then you'll know. Yeah,
Oh, I read the first book of Wheel of Time too, and that's such a good book. I ended up watching the TV show, again because my husband really wanted to, and then when I watched the TV show, I was so enthralled that I was like, I got to go read the book. So I read that too, and I really enjoyed it. Just the first
wow.
one though. I know it's a whole series. I haven't read the whole series yet.
Um, Strange that you mentioned that because I was just about to say if anybody was interested, I would recommend the Wheel of Time series. That's my favorite series of books. I've read it. It's so long, but I've read it all the way through like 3 times. I'm
Yeah,
probably due for a fourth time. Like I can't get enough of that series. Yeah,
it's
amazing. I
really
definitely
worth
suggest.
reading.
Yeah, definitely suggest if you read the first one and liked it, continue on
And
down the line. It gets better
Oh
and better
if you
and better.
if you got questions, I got you covered on that one too.
man, Victor has got me
What
covered.
is that? What is that?
It's the world of Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time.
Oh,
Nice.
so
So
it's just like explaining like about the world. Obviously, it's not one of the novels. It's just kind of
right,
like
yeah, it's
the
like the
glossaries
world
and stuff
building
that he
pretty
has in the.
much. Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay. That's I
like
didn't know they had that. What exactly is it called? I need to get that.
the world of Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time.
The World of Robert Jordan's The Will of Time. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Got
Yeah,
it.
ever
Got it.
since really working on all the Wayward Realm stuff, I've really been getting into all these like world building books like that. I have one for Tolkien. I have the George R. R. Martin ones.
Which
uh,
one? Which one's your favorite?
as far
Of
as the
of
world
yeah, the
building
world
goes,
building, not your favorite series. You can share that too if you want, but
yeah. I think I would go with George R. R. Martin's because there's just so much of that historical influence in there with that. I'm a big history fan myself, so I just really connect with that stuff.
really, I have more of a connection with like I don't know the kind of strange and esoteric, I guess, and like creation myths and I
Mhm.
guess the mythology and magic and stuff like that gets me more than historical, which is maybe why I like the Wheel of Time so much. Um,
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm a little bit more on that side with you too, Lorespire. I like the fantastical part, I guess, a lot.
for sure, for sure. All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun, but we've been going for almost an hour. I appreciate your time. I know that you are so busy, but thanks for coming and talking about the Kickstarter and movies and games and all of that. Definitely appreciate that. Um, if there's any last thoughts or anything you want to put out there, go for it.
Um, just another huge thanks, I guess, to the community and to you as well for having us on. It's always fun to do, so let's do it again sometime.
Yeah.
All right, for sure.
Huge shout out and thank you to you because of all the videos that I've watched about our game from other people. You clearly take your time, do your research, and get it right, and the production and everything is just really well done as well too. Whereas I think we've all read some articles or watched some other videos that maybe had some inaccuracies in there. And every time I watch one of yours, I'm just like, he's done his research, he's done his homework, like he's got this down. So I really appreciate that.
Mhm.
Well, spent a lot of time just combing through the comments in Discord, like typing in Victor's name and looking at everything he said to make sure something he said didn't contradict what I'm putting into the video, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So,
That's
Um,
really incredible.
but yeah, there's actually been a bit of a lull this last month. You know, I'll need to put out more lore so I can make another video.
I'm working on it. I'm working on all of the August content this week, as a matter of fact. So you'll have a little bit more coming. So
Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
the
we
stuff
need-
for the couple of the elven houses. You know, that was pretty cool. That was good stuff.
Yep.
That was good stuff.
yeah, I was gonna say I think we got some new stuff coming out here soon that we haven't shared before. So
Awesome.
Content-wise, I'm trying to cover some things that we have already covered just for all the new people that are coming into our community. But then I'm also trying to sprinkle in new stuff, primarily around the factions, because obviously that's going to be a massive part of our game. So you can definitely expect some more lore coming from that part.
Yeah, at least as far as what I did, like from the videos I made, I think the faction video, aside from Victor's interview video, was like the most popular of those videos, the one that people seem to be the most interested in. So yeah, faction's probably a
Yeah.
good choice.
That'll be like one of the biggest parts of the game, if not the biggest part of the game. So obviously it's really important. um, uh, Definitely important to us.
I always find it funny when people ask like, "Will there be like factions you can join in the game?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we'll have a few."
Couple, yeah.
Like
There's a couple.
take your 5 favorite RPGs, add up all the factions from all of them, and then multiply it a couple of times, and that's how many factions we're gonna have.
Yeah.
Whenever I got to counting them in that video, I couldn't believe how many there were. And now you've already released several more. Yeah, yeah,
You know,
a
I
lot.
really do understand the question too, because there's not very many games that have that level of depth today. So I really do know where the question comes from, and I
Mhm.
get it. But yeah, we're gonna have several factions. There's no doubt about that. So
Yeah, many, many, many.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank y'all for your time. It's been great. Look forward, to doing it again one day whenever we have some more stuff to talk about. So thanks for all of that. Again, there'll be links to the Discord and the Kickstarter page, in the description of this video. So check those out. Use those links. If you haven't, supported the game yet, they're still accepting late pledges, so go check out the Kickstarter and see at what level you might like to support them if you haven't done so yet. It's going to be a great game. I'm really looking forward to it, and looking forward to those videos that we might see this next month.
And subscribe to Lorespire.
And
Definitely.
subscribe to Lorespire. Yes, yes, do that. I appreciate it. Like the video. All
Yes,
right,
that's it.
all right. I'll catch y'all next time then. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, recording.